Hello and welcome to the latest webinar hosted by Charities Aid Foundation. And today's webinar is all about social media. So we're going to explore the latest social trends and how to use them, show you the free tools and technology you can use, demonstrate how to accept donations on Facebook and Twitter, and suggest how to measure the success of your campaigns. I'm Julie Simpson and I look after CAF Donate, our online donations platform for charities. And it's my pleasure to introduce our fantastic guest speaker today, Martin Carter. Martin is the former social media manager here at CAF and is now a digital consultant. Martin has worked on lots of campaigns over the years, including Giving Tuesday and Comic Relief, and he's also worked with lots of big brands, including MTV and GHD. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Martin.
Well, thanks very much, Julie, and thanks everyone for joining us this morning. Like Julie said, my name is Martin, and you can find me on Twitter as well. And thanks very much to CAF for having us this morning. So we're going to dive straight in and looking at 5 key trends and how to use them. But just before we do that, we're going to get you to be a bit interactive and answer a quick poll. So I'm going to launch the poll now, and you will see the options come up on your screen. So the poll is really to get an understanding of the challenges that you face when it comes to social media. So I'm going to launch the poll now, and you'll see the 4 options come up. And if you just want to answer the question really quickly, and then we will have a look at the answers and then move on straight into the 5 key trends. Just waiting for a couple more responses to come in. Great, that was some speedy answering there. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm going to close that poll and I'm going to share the results with everyone. So it looks like the majority of you guys say you don't have enough time or perhaps not enough experience within the team. So that's really helpful. So thank you for voting there, and hopefully some of the things that I'll take through today will help you with some of those issues, particularly around time management. There's some nice tools that I'll show you in there. So back into the presentation. So we're going to look at 5 key trends and how to use them. So these are key trends for 2017. And the first one we're going to start looking at is live streaming. So you might have seen that Facebook is really pushing its Facebook Live capabilities at the moment. It's taking out big billboard advertisements like this in Waterloo Station. You might have seen them at bus stops or even on the television. It's really wanting people to use its live functionality. And 2016 was the year for Facebook Live. So you might have seen the Chewbacca mum Facebook live stream where she puts on the Chewbacca mask. If you haven't, I recommend you watch it. It will make your day. But that was the most watched live stream in 2016 with 165 million views. And people like the Lad Bible, who are a huge Facebook account, one of the biggest, they do loads of Facebook live activity. So they glue pound coins to the floor of the pavement outside their office and live stream that, and that got them 2.3 million views. And in 2016, they had over 3 billion views just on their live streams, so not on their video content, just on their live streams. So it's really big. Facebook want everyone to kind of get behind this as well. But it's not just the big Facebook pages that are adopting live streaming. We can see some really nice examples from across the charity sector as well. So if you look at the example furthest to the left, you can see the Blue Cross, and they have live streamed from one of their catteries. So obviously we know that catteries and cats on social media go very hand in hand. You can see in the middle here a really nice example from Sue Ryder, who run a Q&A with a running expert for their marathon fundraisers. So that's a really nice way of getting some expertise in and helping people who are fundraising for your cause. And the third example, the one on the right, is from the RNLI, and that's with their volunteers, their volunteer lifeboat crew. And this in particular live stream was actually interrupted when the crew had to go out and actually save a life at sea. So some really nice examples there of how different people are using them. And you might ask, well, why would I want to live stream? Well, live streaming is the only option within Facebook now where Facebook will actually build an audience for your content. So if you put a picture or a link or a video out there, it's not going to be seen by a huge amount of people. Actually, what Facebook Live does is it actively goes out and seeks an audience for your content. So it will notify your fans and your followers that you are now live streaming. That's a really great way to get more eyeballs on your content. And what sort of stuff could you live stream? Well, if you've recently opened something that has been particularly supporter funded, so for example, a new facility or a new centre or a new project, you could give a tour of that to really show where the money's going. You could offer interviews with senior stakeholders, beneficiaries or volunteers. So like we saw earlier, we did a really nice interview with the lifeboat volunteers. So if you're doing a volunteer drive, you could do that. Or we could take the Sue Ryder route as well. So you could do expert Q&As for fundraising inspiration. So say, for example, you were having a bake sale or a bake-off, you could get in an expert baker for people to ask questions to on how to perfect the best Victoria sponge, for example. So moving on to the second key trend, and this is all about video. So you might have seen that YouTube are doing a really big push on YouTube at the moment, and it's all about their YouTubers, and they've been running a Made For You campaign. So they really want people to start using YouTube and start using video content more. And it's the same for Facebook as well. At the Facebook conference in April last year, Mark Zuckerberg said that we are at the dawn of a golden age of online video. And at that conference, in his keynote speech, he said that he thought that video was going to be the next big shift in how we communicate with each other after mobile. So that's really how much he sees video as playing a huge part in people's communication in the future, but also in people's social media approach. But there is a misconception about video and how kind of good video needs to be. People think of video and they think of something that's very expensive or very costly or very expert, but actually there's a sliding scale of video, and there's lots of different ways you can kind of create video content that doesn't necessarily have to cost the earth. So if we look at this sliding scale here, on the left is what people tend to think about video. So they think of animation, or they think of advertisements or appeal films they might see on television. They see things that have got a lot of camera shots in them, a lot of different people, or they might think of something that's really technical like stop motion. But actually, if we move right to the other end of that spectrum, things like moving images, moving text, vlogging, these are all one camera, one person, and can be done using some very simple technology. And again, live streaming as well is still video content. So when you live stream on things like Periscope and Facebook Live, you get the video file afterwards as well. And Facebook actually has some really nice technology where it will actually edit the video for you as well and cut out the best bits. And then in the middle, you've got things that might need a bit more effort and a bit more time. So things like running a webinar like this is a bit more technical. Doing a time lapse, again, is a bit more technical. Something doing like 360-degree video, you might need to buy some new kit for. So there is a sliding scale, and it's worth thinking about how you can take content that you might already be producing, so for example a still image, and making that into something that moves, and that's going to immediately attract more people to your content and do better in the algorithms as well. So if we look at some really nice examples from across the non-profit and cause-based spectrum, so someone like 38 Degrees, who are a petitioning website, they made this video in iMovie, and it has over 4 million views. iMovie is free if you've got any Apple device, so whether you've got a Mac or an iPhone or an iPad, you can download iMovie. It's the most straightforward way to kind of cut and edit clips together, add a bit of text on. It's really, really straightforward. Anyone could do it. You could also make movies in PowerPoint as well. So this is what Oxfam do here in the middle. You can change the dimensions of how big a PowerPoint presentation is. So you can make it square, or you can make it fit the Facebook dimensions. You could even just have, like we have here, an image with some text overlaid and some music in the background, and then you just set how long you want that animation to run for and export the PowerPoint as a video file. Again, really straightforward. Everyone's got PowerPoint on their computers. You can also use technology like Boomerang. So Boomerang sits within Instagram now, and instead of taking a picture, it simply takes a 4-second looping video. So very similar to Vine. And again, that capability is probably on the phone that's in your pocket. So instead of taking a picture the next time you're doing an event, why not take some quick videos using Boomerang, upload those onto Facebook or Twitter, and immediately you're diversifying your content, and it's not a hugely expensive, hugely time-consuming thing that you need to do. Quickly moving on to the third key trend for 2017 is all around owning the moment or newsjacking. So you probably might not have heard those terms before, but you've probably seen really nice examples of this. So for example, when Brad and Angelina broke up, Norwegian, who were an airlines company, they ran adverts like this in the local paper showing how cheap it was to fly out to Los Angeles and to find Brad now that he's single. Or on the other side, you can see Virgin Holidays. So when the same-sex marriage bill was passed in America, they did a lot of social media content that was particularly promoting the fact that this major historic moment had happened. So newsjacking is really about injecting yourself into breaking news, so making your cause really appear into wider conversations. And we've heard a lot of talk about echo chambers recently, particularly after the election of Donald Trump and after Brexit. We're seeing a lot of people see their social media feeds as just based around what they're interested in. But actually to reach out and to find new people, you really need to be putting your cause and your content into wider conversation. So we've seen some nice examples in the non-profit space for this as well. So when Pokemon Go was really, really popular, this charity in America said, look, if you're going out playing Pokemon Go and catching Pokemon, why not take some of our dogs from the dog shelter and take them on a walk with you as well? So it's really seeing what's trending, seeing what's happening and injecting yourself into that conversation. And there's a really nice example from here in the UK as well with the charity Refuge. When there was a domestic abuse storyline on the Archers, they set up a fundraising campaign for the Helens and the Henrys, who are the characters and the protagonists in that story, and they raised £100,000. And again, that's taking what they would normally be talking about, which is domestic violence, and really capturing that moment of how people are talking about it in the wider world. And there's some tools that can help you find that conversation as well. So for example, everyone can see the Twitter trends, so it's worth checking on those trends a couple of times a day, see what's happening and seeing what's relevant for your cause. Things like Charity Tuesday will always trend, so you can always factor in that content on a Tuesday. But there are other planners as well. So the Associated Press have a Twitter account called AP Planner, and they take events that are coming up and tweet about them, so you can plan ahead. So for example, here we can see that Ozzy Osbourne's birthday was coming up. So if I was a charity like the Bat Conservation Trust, I might want to make a reference to the fact that it's Ozzy Osbourne's birthday. Branded3, who are a digital agency, they have a really nice PR moments calendar on their website as well, and that has forward planning for the next couple of months, so you can really see what content is coming up and how you can tailor your message to what's taking place. I'm just going to cover off the final two trends fairly quickly. So the first one is around user-generated content, and this is really about making the most of your supporter base. So you can see that travel brands are kind of really owning this space. So this is from the website of a travel brand in Australia called Contiki, and they do everything now through user-generated content. So in the past, their tour reps were paid commission when they sold things like a surfing excursion or an excursion to the Outback. Now the travel reps are paid commission on when they can get the people on their holidays to tweet and Instagram from their destination. So they've completely shifted how they approach their content, and you can do that as well. The best way to show what your charity does and why people should be invested in your cause is to do it through the eyes of those who are most passionate about your cause or those who are living it. So it's worth thinking about who your advocates are, and these could be, the people sat around your desks right now. It could be your volunteers or your donors. It could be those fans who are always liking and sharing your content. It could be the celebrities who are involved. It could be your senior management or your trustees. It's just worth thinking about mapping out who is involved with your charity and where people touch your charity along the journey, and how you can really bring out their stories and give them the tools and the capacity to tell your story for you as well. And the final trend to think about is senior stakeholders owning social. So we're really seeing a trend at the moment, not just in the charity space, but across business, where business leaders are really investing in building up their LinkedIn and their Twitter profiles as well. And LinkedIn is a really great channel, and if your organization isn't on there, it's definitely worth having a think about building a presence on there for two main reasons. The first one is that through my work at CAF, I've seen that actually it's a really, really great channel for engagement and getting click-throughs to the website. And the second thing is that most content on LinkedIn is pretty dull. It's all business to business. It's all selling ebooks and flogging software. Actually, if you can inject some human interest in there, some content with some color and some passion, it's really going to cut through. And content on LinkedIn has a really long shelf life as well. If you put a tweet out, you can usually expect engagement up to about 2 hours after you've posted it. We see engagement on LinkedIn up to 6 days after you've posted it. So if you don't have a lot of time, putting content that's going to have a longer shelf life on a channel like LinkedIn is really worth thinking about. And it's really worth thinking about getting your senior stakeholders involved in pushing out that content through professional networks as well. And there's a really great program that can help you do that, which is worth looking at, that's run by Zoe Amar and Matt Collins, who are really the experts in this space, and it's called Social CEOs. So it's worth having a Google of that. You can see the top 30 charity social CEOs, and on that website as well, there's loads of great content and loads of great toolkits that you can have a look at to really get your senior stakeholders up and about on social media. So those are the 5 key trends, and now I'm going to quickly look at 5 key tools for you to use for your charity. So these are ones that I've been using for years, and they really help, especially if you have limited or no budget. So the first one is Canva. So Canva is a really powerful web-based image creation tool. So you can go on there, you can make graphics for social media, you can edit photographs, you can upload text and fonts and pictures and all that kind of stuff. Canva offer free licenses for non-profit, so you just need to register through those, and you can access any of their paid-for features for free. What's really powerful about Canva as well is it has a magic resize button. So you make one graphic and then you check boxes, and it will automatically resize your graphics for each platform. So you can tick Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and it'll automatically take that graphic you've made and cut it into 3 different sizes for you, which is a great time saver. PicMonkey does essentially the same as Canva. It's a bit of a lighter version though, so if you just need to make quick edits or make a quick layout or some quick graphics, PicMonkey is a really great free tool as well. The third thing to think about is Twitter Flight School, and this is a Twitter-owned training course. So if you're new to Twitter yourself, or people in your team are, so if you don't have a particular experience, or you're trying to get a senior stakeholder involved with Twitter, take them through the Flight School and you'll get a customized free course for them to take. If you're looking at paid advertising as well, particularly on Facebook, Facebook have a really nice training course called Facebook Blueprint. So if you're new to boosting your posts on Facebook, definitely have a look at that as well. The fourth free tool, that's a bit of a tongue twister, is called StockUp. StockUp is essentially a Google for free stock imagery. So any stock image library that gives away free stock images, this tool will search all of them. So it's really great if you're struggling for having visual content, or if you kind of run out of images to post, you'll find hundreds and thousands of them on there. And then the fifth thing to think about is scheduling tools. So these tools like Buffer and Hootsuite and also TweetDeck will allow you to schedule your posts for the future. So you'll be able to plug in your social channels into these and select times and dates where you can post out your content. And these are really great time-saving tools as well, particularly if you just do social media as part of your job and you need things to be going out when you may be, for example, in meetings or over the weekend. So they're the 5 key tools that I always use, and hopefully they're useful for you as well. But what we're going to move on to now is using Facebook to accept donations. So I'm going to hand back over to Julie, who's the CAF Donate and Facebook donations expert, and she'll take you through how to use Facebook to really drive your fundraising. So I'll pass over to Julie now.
Thank you very much, Martin. So let's start with a great example. So this is Dogs Against Drugs Shetland, and they're a community-led anti-drugs charity in Shetland. So not only does this page have adorable pictures of puppies, which is always great to grab people's attention, but they've also set it up really well. So there's lots of ways to get in contact with them, and they've got this great donate button here in the top right. So if we click here, press continue, it takes you to the donation page. So this is coincidentally CAF Donate, and if you haven't seen it for a while, we've actually revamped it recently, so it looks great too. But this particular charity has also set up the Donate Now button within Facebook for CAF Donate, and again, people can donate directly through Facebook using this widget. So I'm going to quickly jump into our test account here to show you how easy it is to set up these features. So if your charity has a Facebook page and it's set up as a non-profit organization, you'll automatically have an add a button in the top right. So if you click on here and then go down to make a purchase or donation and then donate, all you need to do is simply paste your URL into this field. If you have CAF Donate, you simply open your donation page and you can find that URL there, or you can log in and you can get that your URL from the logged in area of CAF Donate. Then you add a button and it will automatically update that button in the top right, so people can now donate directly from Facebook. So then also quickly just to show you how to set up CAF Donate, if you search for CAF Donate in Facebook and click on the Donate Now button here, you'll see this page. And if you're signed up for CAF Donate, when you click View All Pages, you'll see your Facebook pages that your charity has set up. So I want to set up a donate page on my test charity here. I search for CAF, which is our test account, and I will find that particular test account here, click choose, and then I will find the campaign that I want to add that button to. So I'm going to select this particular campaign, and then we can see the widget here for CAF Donate. Then we add it to my page, and then hey presto, there you have your donation experience in Facebook as well. And then the final thing, which is really, really easy to do, is if your charity has a Twitter account, then why not create a tweet that contains your charity's URL. So again, simply put in a message, put in your URL, which doesn't count towards your 140 characters on Twitter, and click tweet. Simple as that. So now, after you set up your social media campaigns, Martin is now going to tell you how you can track and measure their success.
Thanks, Julie. That was really insightful, and I think it's worth pointing out at this point that there will be a recording of this webinar. So if you want to go back through and work through those steps with Julie, you can do. And there's also collateral on the website which will show you how to go through those steps as well. So we're going to move on to the next part of our webinar now, which is all around reporting quickly and well. So looking at the things to report on and to uncover how your page is doing. But before we jump in here, I'm just going to open the second and final poll for today. So this is all around exactly what we're going to talk about. So do you currently report on your social media activity? And you'll see 4 options to pick from. So if you could just again fastest finger first and get voting away, and in a few seconds I will show you the results. Thanks for voting, everyone. I'm going to close the poll now and I'm going to show you the results. So we can see that about half of you occasionally check the metrics, which is absolutely fine. I think that that's what most people would probably answer across any industry. But it's worth getting comfortable with some of the metrics and how to find them fairly quickly and know what you're looking for there as well. And one thing I would definitely advise is to just set a date in your calendar, probably towards the start of every month, just to quickly check in on what I'm about to show you. And it can really help drive what you do on social and really help kind of increase the engagements and the impressions that you see on your posts as well. So I'm going to jump back into the webinar, which you should see on your screen now. So I'm going to go into Facebook first. So if you look in on your Facebook page, when you normally land on your Facebook page, you'll see this page button here. But we're going to jump straight over to Insights, which is the one that we're on right now. And Facebook Insights can actually show you around 250 different metrics when it comes to evaluating your page's performance. And to be honest, I think most of them are irrelevant for most people. But there are some that are quite easy to find and which I think are the most valuable to you. So what I do and what I've done for years is just ignore everything that's in here because it's confusing and it's just going to distract everyone. What I do is straight come into this section here and export the data. So I export everything down from this button here into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I can play around with the data in the way that I want to. So when you come to export, it'll give you three options: your page data, which looks at the page as a whole, your post data, which looks at each individual post that you've put out, and your video data. So if you're doing video activity, it will show you the metrics for that as well. I always go to the second one, so to post data, and then set the date range. So like I say, if you're doing it once a month, it's worth just setting that date for the last month and then exporting it out as an Excel spreadsheet. And there really are two main things that I look at. So the first one is, and they're always called really long, stupid names. The first one is lifetime post organic impressions. So this is the most accurate counter of how many people have seen your post. And in the Excel spreadsheet, it's on the first tab. And that's really going to show you how many people are seeing each and every post that you've put out. And then if you jump over to the second tab on that Excel spreadsheet, it's going to break down the comments, likes, and shares. So that's really the engagement that you're getting on each of those posts. So if you look at those two metrics together, so if you say, okay, which one's got the most impressions and which one is being engaged with the most, that's going to show you how many people are actually seeing the content that you're posting and how much they're engaging with that content. So you can very quickly and easily see what's working and then do more of that. So you can see which posts are driving the most impressions or which posts are driving the most engagements, and do similar posts to that next month. And if you can get into that habit, that's a really great way of slowly, incrementally improving how many people see your content and how many people engage with it. And then on Twitter, slightly easier. So you can go over to your icon here and then click on it and then go down to Analytics, which is just here. And when you click on that, it will give you a really simple monthly overview of how you're performing on social. Again, you can see pretty much the same metrics in there. So I'd be looking at the top tweet and I'd be trying to do more tweets like that. Again, looking at the top media tweet and again, doing more tweets like that. But it also can give you a really nice overview of things like mentions and again, your impressions there as well. So I'll be keeping a record of that month on month just to see how my page is doing and seeing which content is performing the best. If you want to look on a post-by-post basis, you can again click on that tweets button right at the top, and that will give you each and every tweet that you've put out that month and which is driving the most impressions and the most engagements. And again, if you prefer working in Excel like I do, you can export that and play around with the data in an Excel spreadsheet as well. So they're really easy and simple ways that you guys can keep tabs on how your page is performing. So if we just summarize what we've been through today, and then we're going to jump on to questions and answers. So the key takeaways are really using new features that Facebook and Twitter release are going to give you better visibility. So like I say, Facebook is really pushing Facebook Live and video, and on Facebook Live in particular, they'll build that audience for you. They'll get people to your page to watch that video, that live stream. Owning the moment as well, so injecting yourself into wider conversations taking place on social media, so really bursting out of the bubble that is just your followers and really putting yourself out there in front of a wider audience. Utilizing storytelling, so getting beneficiaries, fans, staff members and trustees to really help you tell the story of your cause and really kind of share the load as well. Everyone's got a different experience of your cause and your charity, and you should be really giving people the tools to tease that out. Again, leverage senior stakeholders. Make sure you're on LinkedIn, make sure you're posting regularly, and take your senior stakeholders through things like Twitter Flight School or through the Social CEO's Toolkit and really help them understand the social landscape and how they can help you. Again, make the most of those free tools to up your content game and stand out from the crowd. So if you need stock imagery, there's a whole stock image library there. If you need really quick ways to resize your content, you can do it through Canva. So really make the most of those. Use CAF Donate, as Julie took you through, and make sure you add those points into your Facebook page to accept donations right within the Facebook platform. And then report quickly and well. So get into the habit of regularly checking those metrics that I showed you and just making a note of them and knowing which content every month is performing the best, and do more of that, act on that data. So a huge thank you from CAF for having me today and for hosting this social media webinar. All the contact details are on here, so you can give us a call or email us. That's the web address, and you can connect with us on social media as well. But we're also going to ask if there's any questions. So you should see within the webinar platform that you can see a space to ask questions. So we're going to open the questions now, and I will do my very best to answer them. So I'm just going to be about 30 seconds while I wait for some questions to come in. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your questions. I'm going to answer a few of them now. So we've got a question here from Vicky, which is around how you can encourage a senior manager to use LinkedIn Pulse. And I think what I'd say there is find examples of where other people are doing it and where other people are doing it well. So LinkedIn Pulse has got a really nice showcase page, which has got really kind of famous people on there. So the founder of the Huffington Post blogs regularly on LinkedIn Pulse. Richard Branson does as well. And it's really about finding a digital advocate within your organization and getting them really bought into it as well. And once they are, you'll find that other people follow suit as well. So it's getting them on board, getting them to write and craft a really great LinkedIn Pulse piece, and then showcasing that around your organization and showing the impact that it's having. Once you've done that, you'll find that other people will follow. Okay, I'm just going to have a look for the next question. So I've got a question from Hannah here, which is, which channel do you think is best for boosting long-term supporters and sponsors? That is a very open-ended question. I think what I would say there is you should be spending your time on which ones you are seeing results from. So if you're checking the metrics, which ones you are seeing the most engagement from, but also the most click-throughs to your websites and the most onward donations from there. There isn't a kind of cookie cutter answer to that. It's really specific based on your audience and your demographics. So if your demographic is slightly older, perhaps, it may be on Facebook. If you've got a youth charity, for example, you might be cultivating things on places like YouTube or Instagram. So it really does depend on your audience, and it's a really it's just a really important case of testing it and making sure that you're keeping an eye on the metrics and knowing what works for you and for your own particular cause, and making sure that you know those figures. So I hope that helps. There isn't a kind of you should do Facebook sort of answer, unfortunately. So I've also got another question saying, does Facebook charge for a donation button to be added? No, it doesn't. So there's quite a few questions around Facebook and CAF Donate in here, which I'll just clarify. So you can add, so the blue button that Julie showed you first, which says donate now, after you've added your URL into it, you can add that straight away. There's no charge for that. That's absolutely free. But if you want to do the in-platform Facebook donation, that is where you'll need CAF Donate and CAF Donate's technology to be able to do that. I have a couple of questions here on Instagram as well. So my thoughts on Instagram are it is definitely valuable for your cause. You just have to make sure that your audience is on there as well. So it can be quite difficult to build up communities from scratch. So if you've got a Facebook community and you've got a Twitter community and they are fairly large and fairly well engaged, and you don't have a huge amount of time, then you need to think very carefully about whether another channel is, and that goes for any channel, not just Instagram, where you have the time and the capacity and the resources to really build up another community from scratch. So that's worth thinking about. But yes, I think it's a great platform, particularly for engagement, particularly for storytelling. But you just have to make sure that your audience is Instagram users as well, and the easiest way to do that is to ask them. And yes, there are metrics within Instagram. You need to be set up as a business, so you need to have a business account, which is free, and then you can see some very basic metrics within that app. But you just need to make sure that it's right for your cause and you have the time to do it. I know the poll question said that there's quite a lot of people who struggled with having time to manage stuff. So just remember, it's another thing to think about if you are branching out into a new channel. So we've got a question from Joe around Snapchat. It says, what's your view on using Snapchat? Any non-profits doing this well? So there is a really nice Snapchat guide for non-profits by a guy called Ross. I can't remember his surname off the top of my head, but his Twitter handle and his website is called Third Sector Labs. He's based up in Scotland, and last year I think he launched a really nice guide to non-profits using Snapchat. So if that's something you're thinking about, have a look at his guide on there. I have a question about Canva, saying that you work for a corporation and not a charity. Do you have to pay any sort of license to use Canva? So the way that Canva free licenses work is you have to provide a charity commission number in order to access a free license for it. So if you are set up with a charity commission, so perhaps you've got a foundation with your corporation that is an actual registered charity, you can do it like that. But if you're not, what I would say is use the free version of Canva first and just see if you get everything you need from it. So there is a level of Canva that you can access without paying anything or registering for a free account. So just have a play around with it, see if you get what you need from it, and if not, I think it's fairly cheap if you want to pay for it as well. It's not the same as getting a Photoshop license or anything like that. I think it's fairly cheap, but worth having a look at. So I've got a question from Claire saying, is there optimum times of the day to post on Facebook or Twitter? Again, there isn't a generic answer, despite what Google may tell you. If you Google optimum times to post on social media and find 700 different infographics telling you that, the best thing to do is check your metrics. So download your Excel spreadsheets from the back of Twitter and Facebook, see which posts are driving the most engagement, and see the times of day that you posted them out, and keep an eye on for any trends. So every month when you're reporting and having a look at your metrics, if you're seeing, for example, 8 a.m. tends to be a time of day that's particularly popular for your audience, then try posting more stuff out at 8 a.m. and then next month see if that's helped boost things. But there isn't a generic "this works for everyone" answer, unfortunately. It'd be a lot easier if there was. I have a question from Joe asking about any guidance on how often we should be tweeting Facebook and Instagram per day. So I'd say the maximum on Facebook would be once a day. So there's been a lot of studies that show after posting more than once a day, that can really affect your impressions and your reach. So I'd say stick to once a day on Facebook. Instagram probably once a day as well. Twitter, based on a shelf life of about 2 hours. So if you put a tweet out after 2 hours, it will disappear into the bottom of people's feeds and not see much more kind of click through or engagement. Just bear that in mind. So if you want to have a work day, for example, so say that was 7 hours, you may want to put out 3 tweets a day, for example. So it's just worth thinking about how often you want to see your content to be seen. Is probably the best way of thinking about that. I'm going to answer this one because it's quite self-promotional. Alison asked what my Twitter name is. You can find me at Martin Loves. So I've got an interesting question from Haley, which says, when time is very limited, what would be your top 3 social media priorities? So my top 3 social media priorities off the top of my head, the first one would be to get a really great bank of images or templates that you can very quickly edit. So if you don't have a lot of time, it's worth making a bit of time up front to make standard branded graphics that you can quickly overlay text onto. So making something that is in the shape for Facebook and Twitter that is branded with your charity logo or imagery, for example, that then if you need to quickly knock out a post and you don't have much time, you're not making things from scratch. So that would be the first one. The second one would be to use as many images with people or storytelling in it, particularly if you're trying to stand out in the newsfeed. So make sure that you're really telling the stories your beneficiaries or of the work that you're doing to your supporters. And the third one, and I know it's dull, but is to check your metrics and is to look at what's happening, because only from there are you going to know what's working and really see an incremental improvement over time. So I've got a question. Sorry, I can't see your name properly. My eyes are quite bad. Someone says they're a bit scared of LinkedIn and it seems quite serious. Is there a quick guide to LinkedIn that you can recommend? LinkedIn publish quite a lot of guides themselves. So Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn over the past year or so have got really good at producing guides themselves. So there's a really nice guide that LinkedIn do that is all about how to create a good, what they would call a business page, and best practice and how to optimize your posts and all that kind of stuff. LinkedIn is serious, and I think that's why there is the biggest potential for non-profits on there, because everyone else is talking about business, about serious stuff, about, you know, flogging ebooks and you know, training courses and all that kind of stuff. I really think an injection of vibrancy and color and human interest storytelling can really make your content stand out on LinkedIn, and that's what I've seen through working on places like Comic Relief and here at CAF, is that it stands out like a sore thumb, this sort of content on LinkedIn. But that's what you want. That's what you want your content to do. And you know, people on LinkedIn are of a certain that, you know, they will always be professional. They will always be perhaps of a certain income bracket, and there will usually be a decision maker as well. And they're probably the sort of people that you want as donors. So it's really worth thinking about as a channel. And if you are scared of it, sign up as a personal user, get used to the functionality, get used to how people talk, the sort of language that they use on there, you know, the kind of what the community feels like before you set up as a business and have a business page on there. And that's what I'd recommend for any channel. You know, if you're not a personal Twitter user and you're trying to use Twitter for your cause, you really need to spend the time, you know, on spending time getting used to it by yourself first.
Okay, so we've got 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up. So I have a question here saying, do you have to have a CAF bank account to use CAF Donate? No, you don't. You can sign up for CAF Donate as long as you're a registered charity, and you can use it to accept your donations through social media, as we've been saying today. It will also accept them online, and also you can process the donations that you receive old school in the post and on the phone as well. There are fees for using CAF Donate. We charge by transaction. If you have a CAF bank account, those fees are 3%, and they're 3.6% for card and PayPal donations for a charity if they don't have a CAF bank account. And so for the final question, there's a few people here asking, how do you get hold of the presentation? So we will be emailing the presentation out in a few days' time. So look out for that email in your inbox, and it will also just go on our website afterwards for quite a few months, so you can get access to it. So the last thing that I wanted to do is just thank Martin very much. We get lots of positive feedback in the questions, so thank you very much for all your expertise and insight today.
Thanks very much for having me.
There's also going to be a survey to complete after the presentation is wrapped up. Thank you.